How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be continuing my Sharks of Summer series. Sharks of Summer is a series I do around here where once a week, at least once during the summer, I take a look at a shark movie. But today is a little different because normally I just, have all these old shark DVDs that I look at. But today we're going to be taking a look at a new movie that just came out. This is The Meg 2, The Trench. This came out August 4th and is directed by Ben Wheatley, stars Jason Statham, Jing, Shuya, Sophia, and is based on the series of books by Stephen Allen. Now, overall, the first Meg I thought was a fun movie. I didn't think it was perfect though. It was one that was cool, and I like seeing a shark movie with a bigger budget so it can accomplish a little more than a lot of these other shark movies. Cause I watch so many shark movies that can barely afford to actually put the shark on screen. So the Meg was a fun experience getting to see a shark movie this big and theatrical. But it was always one that I just hoped would be a little bigger and a little cheesier and a little funner. It was good, but it wasn't great, and I kind of hoped it was. And I think with The Meg 2, it might be a step closer to the right direction, but I feel a lot about The Meg 2 as I did about The Meg 1. If you like The Meg 1, you'll probably like 2 as well. But the thing is, I saw the trailers, and they really did pitch it as an absolute cheese fest. And there are some moments in here like that. It's just not quite the so bad it's good classic I was hoping for. There are moments when it drags, and there's moments without the proper weight, where I wished an action sequence was a little grittier, or a death was a little more hardcore. There's just a little more weight that this movie needed to have, and I wish it was funnier, There are some moments in here that really do feel like a live-action version of a Saturday morning cartoon, and there definitely are some moments that feel like a B-movie cable movie. So it does have some of that so bad it's good cheese. It's just not as cheesy as it looked from the trailer. It's, again, like the first Meg, a good movie that I just wish was a little better. It's fun enough, it's good to see a shark movie with such a big budget. Just don't go in expecting the world from it. It might be one that would be a little better if you stumbled across it on cable or streaming and spent a lazy Saturday afternoon watching it. But if you want to go see it in the theaters and you want to see a fun action shark movie, it's there, it's good, it's just not as good as I had hoped, I want bigger, I want cheesier, I want something to rival Sharknado 3, Anyway, in order to discuss this further, I want to talk a bit about the plot. I'll be avoiding major spoilers, and since this is a newer movie, I'll try not to talk as much about specifics as I normally do, but I want to talk a bit about the plot in order to analyze it further and break it down a bit. But no major spoilers. Anyway, we open up with Jason Statham, and he's sort of this environmental spy / vigilante. There's a opening action sequence on a shipping container boat, and he uncovers an illegal operation of dumping just barrels of waste into the ocean. And then he goes back to his base where they're going on regular adventures to the undersea trench. And they even have a little baby pet megalodon there at the base. And yeah, between going on adventures, having a base, having a baby megalodon, you see where I say the setup feels like a live-action version of a Saturday morning cartoon, right? Honestly, instead of the Meg 3, I would much rather see... Do you remember how the 2000s American Godzilla had a really cool cartoon show that tied to it? I would love to see a Meg cartoon instead. Just going on wacky shark-based adventures every single week and keep Pippin in it, for goodness sake. But anyway, that's their setup. They're going on wacky adventures and whatnot. And the girl from the first movie, she's 14 now. I almost didn't recognize that was the same character at first. I'm like, oh, she's way more grown up. How long ago did the first one come out? But anyway, the mother is dead, which the first Meg's a little forgettable. That didn't happen in the movie, right? That happened between movies. Jason Statham is taking care of her, and, you get the classic, you can't go there, it's too dangerous, and she has to hide inside the sub like it's an episode of Speed Racer or something. Anyway, they go to an uncharted part of the trench and find that there's this big secret underwater base there, and they're doing illegal mining. There's this certain special rock where one rock will fetch you like $1 billion. But of course, it's somehow bad for the environment to take them? You're telling me this rock's worth $1 billion. You have to really sell that it's a bad thing to take it. Because, it seems like you just take the rock out. I guess the blasting you have to do is bad, but it's $1 billion. How bad? Okay, maybe I sound mean for saying that. Maybe there's a way where you don't have to blast and you can just whack it with a pickaxe. I don't know. It's $1 billion. You have to really sell that it's bad to take these rocks, because it's the driving force of the human villains in this movie, and it's one of those things, you constantly see in Hollywood half-hearted environmental messaging, and you do get that in here. You can't just say taking the rock is bad. Tell me why so I understand. Again, especially because this is the driving motivation for the villains, and we're talking about $1 billion for one of them. So you really needed to explain better why this is a bad thing to do. But anyway, the villains see Jason Statham there, and they try to blow up his submarines to keep him from talking, and they're going to have to get out of the subs into their special underwater suits and go into that base to try to find a way up. So you get a long section where they're walking across the ocean floor, kind of feels like a Jules Verne novel, and then a section where they have to sneak into this base, which, to be honest, both sections could have been cooler. They did a good job of saying, look at all these cool monsters on the ocean floor, but it was a little dark, and if something happened to one of the characters, they're all under helmets anyway, so it was a little hard to see what was happening to who, and it wasn't like it was the best adventure. It was a lot of walking across the ocean floor. I would recommend, if you have people in suits that makes it hard for us to see who's doing what, make the suits different colors so we can tell from a distance, because there is a character who dies here, and I couldn't tell which one it was until everybody eventually took their helmets off. And took their suits off too, which was kind of dumb, because these are super suits, and you're going to be fighting villains on this base. It's better if you can punch them like Superman. I know it's weird to walk around inside with a diving suit. Really should have kept those on. And the base is just kind of generic. I really wish it was grungier and more like the movie Aliens or something. But yeah, the first section, it's got some neat ideas. It's just not the best, and I do wish it was a little better. It's a little slow at times. Ironically, though, the second section's better, because this is very much a movie of two halves, and they get to the surface, and the nearest island is Fun Island. And this is where the movie does get significantly funner. It's kind of ironic, because in the first Meg, when they get to the surface, the movie definitely deflates a bit, and it's not as cool as the underwater base. But in the Meg 2, the surface is significantly funner. There's a big island to run around and fight bad guys in. When they blew up the subs, a hole formed in the weird little thermal thing that keeps sharks from coming out. They blew a hole in it, and We have 3 Megs. That's cool. A giant octopus and these weird little amphibian things that I really wish the movie told us what their name was. If they did, I missed it. But yeah, there's a bunch of monsters running around on an island, fun, chaos, and calamity. And yeah, Fun Island is just B-movie fun. And hey, Pippin's there. A little bit of a coincidence, but Pippin is the real star of these movies, and it's good to see the dog again. But anyway, a few flaws, as I hinted at earlier. I wish things in here had more weight. You know, a character will die. Either, you know, a friend, or a villain that's a person, or like one of the sharks and monsters. And constantly when people die in this movie, there's not enough weight behind it. You're just like, oh, that person died. And I don't know, maybe if they made it more of a slugfest, maybe if they had more blood. Again, PG-13 is wussing out. They really need to recalibrate the ratings board because, come on, you can't show any blood. But if you made it more of a slugfest before someone died, you'd have more weight. But as it stands, when you get a bigger moment where, like, a character dies, it just constantly felt like, oh, that happened. And like the human villains, and I've said this before, whenever you have a shark movie with human villains are there because it's hard to do all sharks. Sharks are CGI. They need more of a budget. They can't go on land and they can't have as much plot because they can't talk and stuff. So human villains always feel like padding in shark movies. And it's the same here. I mean, the main human villain is generic guy with a mustache, and he hates Vin Diesel, and Vin Diesel doesn't even remember who he is. Not Vin Diesel. Jason Statham. But yeah, generic human villain, and honestly, their plot kind of just wraps themselves up pretty shockingly quickly. So yeah, the humans aren't great. There's not enough emotional weight, and I wish the gags were bigger and it was cheesier. Like one of the final kills, like the shark kills don't have weight either, but one of the final shark kills is this really good cheesy moment, but it feels like something that would have been in the middle of Sharknado 3, not big enough to be a finale, not gruesome enough. And yeah, I just wish this movie was gruesome with more weight, and also bigger, dumber, and cheesier. But I don't want to complain too hard. As it stands, it's fine. Just maybe better for a lazy Saturday afternoon at home. But if you want to go see it in the theater, especially if you really like the first Meg, it'll be worth it if you know what you're getting yourself into. It's just like the first one, a movie I can say was good, but I constantly wish it was just a little better, you know? Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my shark movies playlist. If you want to see a much better, cheesier shark movie, I would recommend the Sharknado series, in particular 3. I've also talked about the Asylum's mockbuster of this movie, the Megalodon. And if you liked the Megalodon fighting the giant octopus, I actually reviewed Mega Shark vs. Giant Octopus this year. So, shark movies playlist is pretty big. Lots of interesting stuff in there. And the first movie as well, I talked about that in there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.